Well, good afternoon and welcome to Live Impact News right here on 13 News Now Plus. The clock just turned 1:01 p.m. It is April 16th, 2026. It is a Thursday afternoon, and we join you on Live Impact News today with tragic news out of Virginia. We reported this morning that former Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax shot and killed his wife, Cerina Fairfax, and then shot and killed himself in their home in Annandale, Virginia. The incident happened around midnight. Authorities were called to the 8100 block of Guinevere Drive shortly after midnight. The individual who made the 911 call to police was the couple's son. The son, as well as their daughter, were both in the home at the time of the incident. So that is what we have been reporting on all morning long, and there are a lot more details that we are going to go through in regards to this incident. Now, Justin Fairfax was lieutenant governor from 2018 to 2022 under Ralph Northam, who was the governor of Virginia for that entire term. Before we get into more details about the incident itself, we're going to go through some of the response that we have heard from Governor Ralph Northam, as well as other elected officials, public figures, and those who worked with Justin Fairfax. Let's begin with Ralph Northam's statement, the governor of Virginia from 2018 to 2022, and the governor during Justin Fairfax's time as lieutenant governor. This is courtesy of our sister station WUSA from Ralph Northam. Quote, "Pam and I are devastated by this heartbreaking news. I had the privilege of getting to know the Fairfaxes while our families served together. We are praying for Cameron, Karis, and the entire Fairfax family during this incredibly difficult time." Again, that's Governor Ralph Northam. We also heard from Virginia Speaker of the House, Don Scott, today. Don Scott sharing a statement in regards to this tragedy that happened in Northern Virginia. Let's take a look at Don Scott's statement. Now, this is an unspeakable tragedy, and our hearts are with the family. There are moments when words fall short, and this is one of them. All we can do is pray, hold our loved ones closer, and grieve alongside those who are hurting today. That is the statement from Don Scott. We also heard from the current Lieutenant Governor, Gonzalo Hashmi. Gonzalo Hashmi releasing a statement tomorrow. She, of course, currently in the office that Justin Fairfax occupied for 4 years. Quote, "Virginia woke up this morning to the devastating news regarding Cerina Fairfax and former Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax. My thoughts are with their children, loved ones, and numerous friends. Along with so many in the Commonwealth, I am filled with sorrow. I await further insight from our law enforcement officials." Now, here, even more locally, one of the congressmen from Hampton Roads, representing the 3rd District in Virginia, Bobby Scott, releasing a statement today. Again, a longtime representative from right here in Hampton Roads. Quote, "I am shocked and saddened by this senseless and horrific tragedy. I am praying for the entire Fairfax family and their loved ones. This heartbreaking situation is a painful reminder that mental health challenges and personal crises, when left unaddressed, can have devastating and irreparable consequences." That, Bobby Scott. We also heard from Jen Kiggins, another current representative from the Hampton Roads area. Jen Kiggins releasing a statement not too long ago. Let's go to her statement right now. This one I actually will be pulling up on my own computer here, as we have had quite a few statements coming in throughout the course of this morning. And while I work my way to Kiggins' statement, we will take a moment to observe just how devastating this news is for the family, for the Fairfax family. Cerina Fairfax and Justin Fairfax dead this morning from a murder-suicide. Justin Fairfax, the former lieutenant governor of Virginia, shooting and killing his wife, Cerina Fairfax, before shooting and killing himself in their home on Annandale, Virginia. Now, give me just a moment while I access Jen Kiggins' statement, Congresswoman Jen Kiggins' statement from earlier today. This is a post on X. "The details surrounding the deaths of former Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax and his wife Cerina Fairfax are truly tragic. I am praying for their children and family as they navigate this unimaginable loss, and that they are surrounded by love and support in the days ahead. And we talk about being surrounded by love and support. We have gotten word from law enforcement that the 2 teenage children who were in the home, including the son who made the 911 call, there are grandparents involved. They are with professionals as well. They have been interacting with those who are taking care of them over the course of the morning following this overnight tragedy. So that is the sentiment of nearly every statement we've gotten includes a request for prayers and thoughts for the children who are now left without their parents following this horrendous incident that occurred, again, in Fairfax County, Virginia. Now, let's do a little bit more background on Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax, former Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax, Justin Fairfax was seen as something of a rising star in the Democratic Party, both here in Virginia and potentially nationally as well. A graduate of Duke University and Columbia Law School, Justin Fairfax was, of course, Lieutenant Governor of Virginia under Ralph Northam from 2018 to 2022. In 2019, 2 women came forward with allegations of sexual assault against Justin Fairfax. Justin Fairfax denied those accusations. Despite those accusations, he ran for governor in 2021, but he did not win the Democratic nomination here in the Commonwealth. Since then, he has gone back to practicing law and has not run for public office since that run for governor, to our knowledge. So some background on Justin Fairfax there. Now, what we want to do is we want to now go to, you know what? Let's talk with the People's Producer, Nia Campbell, here for a brief moment. Nia Campbell here with us, as always, on Live Impact News. Nia, do we have sound from Senator Mark Warner ready to go?
Yes.
Okay, this is Senator Mark Warner earlier today reacting to this news. Let's take a listen to the Virginia senator.
It's awful news. I'd worked with Justin for over a decade, and obviously the idea that even his teenage kids were in the house, it's a huge tragedy, and I'll leave it at that.
At one point, he seemed as though he had a rising star with a promising career. I mean, how disappointing is it to see it come to an end this way?
Well, again, you never know what's going on in any family, but I was just talking with Tim Kaine. We were both shocked. I mean, I heard from Bobby Scott this morning about this, unexpected, shocked, and for an awful lot of us that worked with Justin, he was an enormous talent, and I just can't imagine what his family's going through.
And what do you want to see from the investigation? What more do you hope to learn from what happened here?
Again, I think I'm still just processing this. I'm sure there'll be an investigation, but let's let it run its course.
Okay. Any particular stories, good memories with him? I know you chaired.
I mean, again, I just remember, even after all the controversy, when he was lieutenant governor, otherwise, he was always about trying to provide opportunity. And I remember he personally helped finance a basketball team that came out of, I think, the Richmond area, and financed them on a trip to Africa.
So that was Senator Mark Warner speaking this morning, clearly still in a state of processing, as he mentioned, of this information. That story that he was telling at the end of that soundbite of Justin Fairfax paying for a basketball team to go to Africa. Our own Janet Roach was here with us earlier in our morning edition of Live Impact News. She spoke about that story as well. Justin Fairfax paying for, I believe it was the John Marshall State Championship winning high school basketball team to travel to Africa. And she said those student athletes talked about how that was a life-changing trip. So that story has held strong here. Now, we are going to take a brief commercial break. We're going to listen to some ads here, and then when we come back, we are going to play the entirety of the press conference from Fairfax County law enforcement that happened this morning with a lot more details, not just about this incident itself, but about the Fairfax's domestic situation before and about some of what's to come in this investigation. So, brief commercial break. When we get back, we'll hear from law enforcement in Fairfax County, a press conference that happened on scene earlier today. Okay, back here on Live Impact News. As you can see on your screen right now, we continue with our coverage of Justin Fairfax shooting and killing his wife, Cerina Fairfax, and then shooting and killing himself right around midnight at their home in Annandale, Virginia. We continue with coverage of that story. Now, you'll see at the top of your screen a picture of Cerina and Justin Fairfax, and at least as far as we can tell here externally, seeing them smiling, happy, and together, it creates a drastic picture of what we are describing here today, or a drastic fall to what we are describing here today. And then you see at the bottom of your screen a live crime scene. This is outside of the home where that happened, where that crime happened this morning. You see a police car in the driveway still. You also see yellow tape around the home. And there are a lot more details included in the press conference that we're going to show you now. This is Fairfax County Police Chief Kevin Davis. He gave a press conference on scene this morning. You see him walking through the yellow tape up to speak to reporters, and he included quite a bit of detail. So we are going to go and listen to Police Chief Davis right now.
Yeah, we're a little bit of a hill. Everybody see me all right? Can we lower this a little bit? Yeah. Thanks, Drew.
Is this good?
That good?
Oh,
Testing?
dogs, is this okay?
And we're standing by right now, guys, waiting for...
Hearing no objection.
You ready?
Hey, guys, yeah, Chief Kevin Davis has just walked up to the microphone. He's ready to give us an update. So let's go.
All right, folks, good morning. I'm here to confirm the identity of our shooter in this murder-suicide that happened several hours ago as former Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax. Former Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax shot and killed his wife inside of their home and then shot and killed himself. I think you have the rest of the details that Captain Cosgriff gave earlier this morning, so I'm just going to pause right here and answer any of your questions to the best of my ability right now. I can just tell you, and then I'll go to Drew first, that this has been an ongoing domestic dispute surrounding what seems to be a complicated or messy divorce. So, Drew.
And Chief, that was going to be my question. Can you elaborate on what the investigation has revealed about the status of their marriage? Of course, the kids are what everybody's thinking about, I think, too, in this as well.
So far, what we know is probably what you all know, and I don't think it's a secret that there's been a divorce proceedings that have been ongoing. From what I understand at this early stage, former Lieutenant Governor Fairfax was recently served some paperwork associated with an upcoming court proceeding that apparently led to this incident last night. Both of their children, teenagers, the boys older than the girl, were in the house when it happened. So that's horrible news for the family. Certainly a traumatic event for those children to live through. But we know that it all kind of culminated last night when Justin Fairfax shot several times, killed his wife, ran to a different part of the home, and then killed himself with the same firearm.
I know you just got on scene, but from your briefing, what do you know about the scene inside? What is?
So it seems like, and I know I'm competing with some school buses here. It seems like the murder took place in the basement. It's described to me as a unfinished basement in the home. At some point after Justin shot and killed his wife, he runs upstairs in the home and into the primary bedroom apparently, and shoots and kills himself.
Have you had any previous domestic calls to this location?
So we checked on that. The question is, have we had any previous domestic or calls for service to this location? In January of this year, Mr. Fairfax calls the police and alleges that his wife assaulted him. We responded to that scene. There are several cameras set up inside the house. Apparently, Mrs. Fairfax, at some point during these divorce proceedings, set up a lot of cameras inside the home. We reviewed those cameras, and we corroborated that the alleged assault never occurred. So there was no arrest made. There was a report written, but the allegation that Mr. Fairfax made in January that Mrs. Fairfax assaulted him was proven to be untrue.
Does the nature of who's involved here, like how does that play into an investigation?
Certainly this is a high-profile family. At one point in time, I think it's fair to say that Justin Fairfax, before he was lieutenant governor, while he served as lieutenant governor, and even afterwards, was a rising star politically, not just in Northern Virginia, but in Virginia. So it's high profile in nature. It's tragic in nature. Certainly a fall from grace for a relatively high profile family that seemingly had a lot of things going in their favor. So tragic for the children to lose both parents. Extra tragic for them to actually be in the home when it occurred. There's a lot going on, and our victim services division, like they always do, is leaning into the family, the surviving relatives, the children in particular, and we'll do everything we can for that.
Chief, in terms of the timeline and the
That I'll get.
locations, in terms of the wife obviously being shot first and Justin afterwards, the basement upstairs, did you get all of that from the cameras inside the house today, or how were you able to gather
So our detectives have gathered that. Certainly there's enough cameras inside the home that we're able to corroborate some of that, but one of the children was the 911 caller just after midnight. So he described some things to us as well that we've since corroborated. And I think I heard one question about what do we know about the gun. I don't know anything about the gun yet. The same gun that Mr. Fairfax used to kill his wife seems to be the same gun that he used to kill himself.
Have you recovered any other weapons in the house?
I don't know. Well, we're going to be here for a while. Obviously, we have a search warrant we need to execute to recover evidence, and certainly included in that evidence is the primary firearm that was used and any other firearms. I don't know that they do or don't exist.
I think piggybacking off that question, the cameras were still. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
The cameras were still there and rolling and operational, and that's.
I believe they were. I believe they were.
Okay, so he had set up the cameras, and well, we don't know who set up the cameras.
She.
She set up the cameras in the house.
Yes.
Just to clarify, but he alleged that she assaulted him.
So what we know, I'm going back to January now. What we know is that Mrs. Fairfax, at some point in time, they lived together while they were separated in separate bedrooms. At some point in time, we know Mrs. Fairfax installed several cameras inside the home. And we know that because when Mr. Fairfax called us to their home back in January and alleged that his wife assaulted him in the home, we were able to go to those cameras and determine that never occurred. So that's the only time that the Fairfax County Police Department has ever been at the Fairfax home.
Are family members now with the children?
Yes, so there's grandparents involved, other family members involved, our Victim Services Division is involved, but so their well-being is a primary concern.
Was the situation with their divorce proceedings, if you know this, that they were continuing to live together in this home, just in separate areas of the home, or did someone return to the home and live
Yeah, I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole. I know that they were separated, living together. I know that there are divorce proceedings that are underway and court appearances that are scheduled and pending in the very near future. I know he was served some paperwork recently. Apparently the paperwork indicated when he was next to appear in court. That may have been a spark, and detectives will figure that out, that led to this tragedy here. Again, a mother shot and killed, taken from her children, and then he takes his own life.
And no other red flags in his.
So I think family, friends will probably look at this and look at chaos and trauma that people go through, and probably any separation or divorce proceedings, and likely determine that there were red flags along the way in retrospect. But certainly half of America probably goes through divorce proceedings at some point in time, and very, very rarely, thankfully, does it ever end up like this. So very, very sad for this community and the school buses here, and a lot of people who know the Fairfax family. Everybody's shocked. We're shocked.
It might be too early to know this or not, but do you know if he legally owned a firearm?
I don't know. We'll determine that.
Steve, I know you mentioned there were ongoing investigations, obviously, divorce proceedings, but in terms of what actually led to this early morning shooting here, was there a fight inside that we know of?
The only thing I'm going to surmise before I get myself in trouble with detectives is that we know that recently Mr. Fairfax was served some type of paperwork indicating when he was scheduled to next appear in court for the ongoing divorce proceedings. So I guess that is something that we're looking at as something that may have led to whatever happened last night, that led to the murder of a mother and a wife and a suicide.
The final moments, obviously, as to what led to the violence, that's under investigation.
Under investigation. Obviously, we have two teenage children who were in the house, but our main concern is for their well-being right now. They are interacting with us, and certainly the son was the one who called 911 during a very chaotic situation, and I can only imagine.
Did you know if he was still holding some kind of public position, or what his employment was at this time?
I know Mr. Fairfax is or was an attorney. I know he returned to practice law after he served as lieutenant governor for Virginia. I otherwise don't know exactly what he was doing with his employment or his law practice.
And this was after around midnight?
Just after midnight, just a few minutes after midnight.
Did the 911 call come after Mr. Fairfax shot himself, or was there a window in there?
If there was a window, Drew, it was a very short window. So I think it all kind of happened at once. Obviously, the wife is shot and killed before Mr. Fairfax takes his own life. I think it was all at once. There wasn't a pause. There was never a moment where someone was holed up in a room or cops were here, and it all happened pretty spontaneously.
What was the resolution of his false claim against his wife? Did that just kind of end? Was he cited for making a false report? Or
No, he wasn't. There's a high bar to charge someone with making a false report. So, but our police officers, patrol officers investigated. They were able to corroborate that it didn't occur back in January, so no files or charges, but a police report was written.
Were there any questions of mental health issues, or will you be testing, after for the body for forensics, like drugs or anything like that?
Yeah, I don't know about mental health or behavioral crisis. I do know, and I'm sorry to compete with the noise, that the family was going through seemingly a very tough time with the separation, with the divorce, etc. I can only imagine the stress that the parents felt, the kids felt, and the other family members as well.
His wife is Cerina.
Yes, Cerina Fairfax is our victim. Mrs. Fairfax was a dentist. Mr. Fairfax, obviously, the former lieutenant governor and a lawyer, and 2 teenage children in high school.
going back to the timeline, by the time police got there, both of them were deceased?
Yes, both pronounced on the scene. Okay.
To the best of your knowledge, just the one incident where police were involved, where he said no other calls.
To the best of my knowledge, it was January of this year, 2026. But we'll obviously dig into that and confirm it.
When did the police arrive at
Within minutes of the 911 call. We can get the exact time frame for you.
Both teams were home, but the son called 911.
Both teams were home, the son called 911.
There's also a daughter, son.
A what?
One boy, one girl, son, daughter.
One boy and a girl. Yeah.
So this, you said because they arrived within minutes, it was still shortly after midnight?
Yes, everything's shortly after midnight. And folks, that's all I got. It's kind of one of my practices never to say no more questions, so I'm not saying no more questions, but that's all I have right now. When we get more information, we'll be sure to share it with you, but right now the focus is on the crime scene investigation and the kids.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Chief.
Okay, so again, a lot of detail shared in that press conference. When we get back, we'll go over some of that detail and we'll explore some other background information on Justin and Cerina Fairfax. For now, we're going to take a brief commercial break here on Live Impact News. welcome back into the studio here on Live Impact News. 1:31 p.m. We're through about a quarter of the show. We appreciate everyone joining us today and staying with us here on Live Impact. Obviously, we are conducting the show today under tragic circumstances, a devastating situation that we have been reporting on all morning here, and we continue with that reporting for right now. We're going to start with highlighting some of the things from that presser that maybe stood out a little bit. A lot of information in that presser. We, of course, heard that this is an ongoing domestic dispute during what was described as a difficult or messy divorce. And while Cerina Fairfax and Justin Fairfax were separated, they were living in the same home. You also heard police mention that recent paperwork indicating when Justin Fairfax was next to appear in court may have been a spark of some sort to this incident. So that statement, a part of the press conference there. And of course, the thoughts primarily, the priorities primarily with the two teenage kids who were in the home at the time of the shooting, and the son who is the one who called 911 to report this incident. So continuing to keep them as a top priority in the wake of this tragedy. Again, grandparents are involved as well as professionals to try and help the kids in this particular case. We also heard that Justin Fairfax shot and killed his wife multiple times in the basement of their home. He then ran upstairs and killed himself upstairs, but the police did include that there was not a lot of time between these two actions, that there was not some long pause in between the two shootings, and they used the word spontaneously to describe what had happened that day. Spontaneously is the word that, again, was used in this particular case. We also learned that Justin Fairfax had called police in January, and he alleged that he was assaulted by his wife. This allegation, according to Fairfax County Police, was proven to be untrue via a series of cameras that had been set up around the home, surveillance cameras set up around the home by Ms. Fairfax during these divorce proceedings. Also, just in watching that press conference, a constant flow of school buses happening behind the press conference, which, number one, takes your mind right back to the two teenage children of the Fairfaxes, seeing those school buses, and two, speaks to the fact that this was a neighborhood that seems to have a lot of families and a lot of children and potentially school-age children in it if that many buses are going back and forth on a morning like this. So obviously a tragedy that will have effects on the entire community in Fairfax, you would imagine. And speaking of the community in Fairfax and in Northern Virginia, Cerina Fairfax was a major part of that community. Dr. Cerina Fairfax was a practicing dentist, and we have her bio here that we're able to learn a little bit more about Dr. Cerina Fairfax from. We know that she earned her Bachelor of Science degree from Duke University in 1999. Of course, Duke University, also the school that Justin Fairfax graduated from. Then it was off to Virginia. She went on to obtain her Doctor of Dental Surgery degree, graduating magna cum laude from VCU's Medical College of Virginia School of Dentistry in 2005. She would go on to do a residency at that same program. And so Virginia Commonwealth University, Richmond, Virginia, not far, an hour and a half, an hour and 40 minutes from where we stand right now. And she completed hundreds of hours of continuing education focused on conservative, comprehensive dentistry. Dr. Cerina Fairfax, obviously very successful and dedicated to her profession here in the area. And it goes on to say that Dr. Fairfax considers it an honor and a privilege to serve the community of Fairfax. She is committed to serving not only her patients, but others as well through participation in community outreach programs, volunteer and sponsorship opportunities, vocational training programs, and contributions to local charities and nonprofits intended to aid individuals and or organizations helping those in need. So a major statement on service there in her professional bio, and her willingness and desire to serve her community and to help those in need. Cerina Fairfax, Dr. Cerina Fairfax, a practicing dentist in the area, and just reading that bio, getting a sense of the person, certainly, as we cover this story, it gets more and more heartbreaking and difficult to go through. Now, we're going to do a couple more statements that we've gotten from elected officials or former elected officials here in the area. Former Attorney General in Virginia, Jason Miara, is releasing this statement on X. "My heart goes out to the Fairfax family today, particularly the children. For anyone struggling with this kind of darkness, the most courageous thing you can do is ask for help. There is more help and friendship out there than we realize. So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." Isaiah 41:10. So a verse there coming after his statement, quoting a Bible verse from Jason Miara. Now, current Attorney General Jay Jones: "Mavis and I are heartbroken by this tragedy. We are holding Cameron and Karis, along with their loved ones, in our prayers. No family and no child should have to experience this grief. We pray for peace and comfort during this devastating time." So more statements continue to roll in from those who worked with the Fairfaxes, others who are involved in politics here in Virginia. We continue to hear sentiments, and highlighted in so many of those sentiments is the children. The two teenage children of Justin and Cerina Fairfax, the two children who were in the home at the time of this tragedy, and the son who was the one to call, police. Now, I do want to include something we talked about. Did we read Bobby Scott's statement? I do believe we read Bobby Scott's statement. I wanted to include something that was a part of Bobby Scott's statement that was not. It was an add-on to his statement, which is a resource here. The Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is available at 988, and the National Domestic Violence Hotline is available at 1-800-799-7233. So again, the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is available at 988, and the National Domestic Violence Hotline is available at 1-800-799-7233. Now, we are going to continue to keep a very close eye on this story. We are going to bring you any updates that we hear, any further statements that we hear will be coming across your desk. Naya, is there anything else I need to cover before we go to break? And before we potentially start to explore some of the other news of the day that we have here? No. Okay. Then we're going to take we're going to listen to some ads here. We're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we'll look at some of the other news that we have on our desk here today. For now, a tragic day here in Virginia, a tragic day in Fairfax, and a heartbreaking day for the Fairfax family. So let's go to commercial here. Okay, welcome back to Live Impact News here on 13 News Now Plus. We appreciate everyone staying with us on a very difficult day here, a heavy news day here in Virginia. Now, we are actually going to look at some other headlines here. We're going to shift our focus. We're actually going to get an update on a local story that we've been covering for some time here. A family member has confirmed to 13 News Now that David Varela was taken into custody today. That name may ring a bell. Varela was charged with first-degree murder of Lena Guerra, his wife of 11 years, after her body was discovered in February in a freezer in their downtown Norfolk apartment. She hadn't been seen since mid-January. So the man accused and charged with first-degree murder in that incident, Lena Guerra, has now been taken into custody. Now, the officer of the chief medical examiner found that Guerra's cause of death was blunt head trauma in addition to asphyxiation. Varela was a U.S. Navy reservist, and he reportedly fled the country and ended up in Hong Kong, according to court documents. Because the United States and Hong Kong do not share an extradition treaty, that made locating and arresting Varela more complicated, according to Norfolk Commonwealth's attorney Ramin Fadahi. In February, 13 News Now spoke to Guerra's cousin, Pilar Angel Echevarria, who lives in Colombia, as the search for Varela continued. She said, quote, "I can't believe it. I mean, I still can't process the death. I can't process, especially the way she died." This was said in Spanish. This is the translation we have on 13newsnow.com. Quote, "I mean, I think that's something you see in movies and you think it will never happen to you." The FBI was reportedly involved in this search for David Varela overseas, and FBI Director Kash Patel posted on X that Varela's arrest was a, quote, "successful overseas apprehension. I want to recognize the HSI, our partners, and the interagency effort for the quick apprehension and return to the United States. Mr. Varela has been on the run for over 2 months, attempting to avoid prosecution for these heinous crimes, but justice doesn't forget." So the heartbreaking story of Lena Guerra, who was missing since January and was ultimately had her body discovered in February in a freezer in their downtown Norfolk apartment. David Varela was charged with first-degree murder in that case. Guerra and Varela married for 11 years, and he reportedly fled the country to Hong Kong, and now he has been apprehended, according to law enforcement. So not only according to law enforcement, but according to a family member who confirmed this information to 13 News Now, that David Varela was taken into custody today. So that an update on a story that we had been spending quite a bit of time with. Okay, let's continue on through our headlines. We are going to check in with the new headlines on the war in Iran. The first one comes courtesy of Donald Trump's Truth Social post. This is regarding Lebanon and Israel. Quote, "I just had excellent conversations with the highly respected president of Lebanon and the prime minister of Israel. These two leaders have agreed that in order to achieve peace between their countries, they will formally begin a 10-day ceasefire at 5 p.m. Eastern Time." This is something we reported extensively on earlier this week. On Tuesday, the two countries met for the first time in 34 years here in Washington, D.C., with our great Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. I have directed Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Rubio, together with the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, to work with Israel and Lebanon to achieve a lasting peace. President Trump continues, "It has been my honor to solve 9 wars across the world, and this will be my 10th. So let's get it done, President Donald J. Trump." He followed that up about an hour later with another tweet that read, "In addition to the statement just issued, I will be inviting the Prime Minister of Israel and the President of Lebanon to the White House for the first meaningful talks between Israel and Lebanon since 1983, a very long time ago. Both sides want to see peace, and I believe that will happen quickly. President Donald J. Trump." So first, the announcement of a 10-day ceasefire starting at 5 o'clock today, and then a follow-up that the two countries' leaders will be meeting at the White House for meaningful talks. So that's an update on the situation between Israel and Lebanon. Lebanon, of course, has seen thousands of deaths in the midst of this conflict, with Israel saying that they were attacking Hezbollah, which is a militant group that was largely based in Lebanon, and a lot of those attacks ended up, decimating Lebanese infrastructure and destroying parts of their country. Nearly 2,200 people in Lebanon have been killed by Israeli airstrikes. So that an update on the ceasefire, on the new ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon. Now, in the meantime, Pakistan's army chief met with Iranian officials in Tehran on Thursday in a bid to extend the ceasefire between Iran and the United States, which had paused almost 7 weeks of war, and that war has not only killed thousands of people, but upended global markets with the disrupted flow of oil. Not just Iran controlling the Strait of Hormuz, but now a United States blockade that has been put into place to restrict access to Iranian ports. A second round of U.S.-Iran talks has not been scheduled yet, according to Pakistan's foreign ministry spokesperson. And we have a comment from U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who appeared as part of the White House press briefing yesterday. He says the U.S. is preparing to ramp up economic pain on Iran by levying secondary sanctions on financial institutions that do business with the Middle Eastern nation. He called this measure the financial equivalent of a bombing campaign. So while the ceasefire holds and there have been no more actual bombing campaigns between the United States and Iran, there is a different type of war playing out now between the blockade and plans to ramp up economic pain. Now, a United Nations envoy from China called the U.S. blockade of the Strait of Hormuz a dangerous and irresponsible move. This is more reporting here in that the ambassador said the strait should be safeguarded for international navigation and called on Iran to take proactive measures to open the waterway, which is used to ship about 20% of the world's oil. That situation has led to an energy crisis in many different parts of the world, with the economic impacts being widely felt. It's not just more money at the pump for consumers, but it is, fuel is used to transport so much across this country and others that many other industries are greatly impacted when there is a fuel and energy crisis, and supply chains especially are hard hit when this type of thing occurs. So we continue to observe whether or not a solution will come, not just to the war, but to the Strait of Hormuz. For the time being, the ceasefire remains in place between the United States, Israel, and Iran, and now a new ceasefire is in place between Israel and Lebanon. Plans for the two sides to meet at the White House, according to President Donald Trump. Okay, that is our update for the day on the war in Iran, though we will continue, as always. Headlines roll in at a breakneck speed at times in regards to that war. So that's something that we will be monitoring here as we go forward. For the time being, I think we're going to take another break here. We're going to go to commercial once more. We are nearing the halfway point of our stream. We're going to go to commercial. When we get back, we will continue with our reporting here on Live Impact News. Welcome back here, Live Impact News, where we are actually going to stay with our coverage of the war in Iran right now. We're going to listen in on a Pentagon briefing from earlier today. When we return, we will have more updates on the Justin Fairfax murder-suicide, shooting and killing his wife Cerina Fairfax, and then shooting and killing himself around midnight. I know that we have routinely repeated the facts of that incident, and they are disturbing to hear, but in case we have new viewers, we want to make sure we're constantly keeping everyone updated. For now, however, an update on the war in Iran from the Pentagon. Let's take a listen.
Good morning, and as you may have noticed, the Chairman and I are joined today by the CENTCOM Commander, Admiral Bradley Cooper. He just returned from the front lines to see the troops and meet with allies, and this morning briefed us, just before this briefing, on the latest on all aspects of Operation Epic Fury. So after the Chairman concludes, we'll ask Admiral Cooper to share a quick update on the ground truth from his trip to the region as he continues to implement an ironclad blockade and ensures that our forces are maximally postured to restart combat operations should this new Iranian regime choose poorly and not agree to a deal. And that is what we urge this morning, that this new Iranian regime choose wisely, which is where we'll start with a message to Iran's military leadership, to the KH leadership and IRGC leadership. We're watching you. Our capabilities are not the same, our military and yours. Remember, this is not a fair fight. And we know what military assets you are moving and where you are moving them to. While you are digging out, which is exactly what you're doing, digging out of bombed out and devastated facilities, we are only getting stronger. You are digging out your remaining launchers and missiles with no ability to replace them. You have no defense industry. No ability to replenish your offensive or defensive capabilities. You only have what you have. You know that, and we know that. You can move things around, but you can't actually rebuild. You can dig out for now, but you can't reconstitute. But we can. We are reloading with more power than ever before, and better intelligence. Even more importantly, better intelligence than ever before, as you expose yourself with your movement to our watchful eye. We are locked and loaded on your critical dual-use infrastructure, on your remaining power generation, and on your energy industry. We'd rather not have to do it, but we're ready to go at the command of our president and at the push of a button. This blockade, which the chairman will detail this morning, is the polite way that this can go. Your energy is not moving and will not move, and we can do this all day. But it's not destroyed yet. Your energy industry is not destroyed yet. You like to say publicly, Iran, that you control the Strait of Hormuz, but you don't have a navy or real domain awareness. You can't control anything. To be clear, threatening to shoot missiles and drones at ships, commercial ships that are lawfully transiting international waters, that is not control. That's piracy. That's terrorism.
We're going to come out of this now and go to President Trump live now speaking to the media.
Are you considering extending the ceasefire with Iran?
With who?
With Iran.
We're doing very well, I can tell you. Maybe it'll happen before that. I'm not sure it needs to be extended. Just so you know, Iran wants to make a deal, and we're dealing very nicely with them. We've got to have no nuclear weapons. If we do, that's a big factor. And they're willing to do things today that they weren't willing to do 2 months ago.
Do you have any news about Ukraine? Do you have any news regarding peace in Ukraine?
I think they will. I think it's going to be, actually it's very exciting because it's 48 years. We're going to be meeting with Bibi Netanyahu, as you know, and the president of Lebanon. And I had a great talk with both of them today. They're going to be having a ceasefire. and that'll include Hezbollah, and I think it could be number 10 for me.
Mr. President, do you have any news regarding peace in Ukraine? Do you have any news regarding peace in Ukraine?
Ukraine is moving along. I wish they could get along, frankly. A lot of people are dying in Ukraine. We'll see what happens. There's things happening there. We're focused so much right now in Iran, seeing if we can get that completed. And I think we're going to be able. And I think if you look, the stock market is good. The oil prices are coming down, and it's looking very good that we're going to make a deal with Iran, and it's going to be a good deal. It's going to be a deal with no nuclear weapons.
When is the next in-person round of negotiations on the war in Iran? When will
They're
that
all
take place?
important. I mean, it's not a question of Iran. All of them are
When will
important.
the next in-person
Probably,
meeting take
maybe
place?
over the weekend.
Will you send the vice president?
Maybe over
President, will you send the vice
Just so you
president?
understand, the blockade has been incredible. It's held. They're not doing any business. They're unable to do any business because of the blockade. And so the combination of having no Navy, having no Air Force, having no anti-aircraft equipment, they have nothing. Everything is gone, including their leaders. Now they have a new set of leaders, and we find them very reasonable.
And Mr. President, on the 20-year minimum to stop enriching uranium, would you?
Well,
would
we
that be
haven't agreed to
acceptable
any.
you?
We
Would
haven't
that be
agreed to any.
acceptable to you, sir, if that's the final sticking point?
What
Would
we
you be
have
comfortable
is
with that?
we have a statement, very powerful statement, that they will not have, beyond 20 years, that they will not have nuclear weapons. That's beyond. There's no 20-year limit. I think that Todd Blanche is doing a very good job, from what I'm seeing. All I can say thus far, I think Todd Blanche is doing a very good job.
If there's no deal, would you be willing to extend the ceasefire, or will the fighting resume, Mr. President?
I would say the fighting. If there's no deal, fighting resume.
Okay, and then on gas prices, how much longer will Americans continue to see these high gas prices?
Well, they're not very high. If you look at what they were supposed to be in order to get rid of a nuclear weapon, with the danger that entails. So the gas prices have come down very much over the last 3-4 days. I know, and that's what ABC says. But the fact is that if you look at the stock market's up, everything's doing really well. And the big thing we have to do is we have to make sure that Iran does not have a nuclear weapon, because if they do, you want to talk about problems, you'd have problems. So very important is that Iran does not have a nuclear weapon, and they've agreed to that. Iran's agreed to that, and they've agreed to it very powerfully. They've agreed to give us back the nuclear dust that's way underground because of the attack we made with the B-2 bombers. So we have a lot of agreement with Iran, and I think something's going to happen very positive. Very complicated subject. I don't think we're waiting. I think we're moving very fast. It could happen pretty quickly. Say it.
How long you could sustain the blockade on the Strait of Hormuz?
The what?
How long you could keep the blockade on the Strait of Hormuz?
We're doing very well with the blockade. It's very routine for us. The Navy is incredible. And I think the blockade is doing very well. It's no ship is even thinking about entering. No ship is going past our Navy.
Why are you fighting with the Pope? And are you worried it's upsetting your
No, I don't. I have to do what's right. The Pope has to understand that. Very simple. I have nothing against the Pope. His brother's MAGA all the way. I like his brother, Louis. I'm not fighting with him. The Pope made a statement. He says Iran can have a nuclear weapon. I say Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. And if the Pope looked at the 42,000 people that were killed over the last 2 or 3 months as a protester with no weapons, no nothing, I mean, you take a look at that. So I can disagree with the Pope. I have a right to disagree. I have a right to disagree with the Pope.
What do you say to people who see that, who see your criticism of the...
Look, nothing, I have no disagreement with the fact the Pope can say what he wants, and I want him to say what he wants, but I can disagree. I think that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. If they do, the whole world would be at jeopardy. The Middle East will be blown up and the whole world will be at jeopardy. We're very close to making a deal. That'll be a great thing. The Pope has to understand, Iran has killed more than 42,000 people over the last few months. Think of it, protesters. without guns, without anything. They were totally unarmed protesters. The Pope has to understand that. This is the real world. It's a nasty world. But as far as the Pope and saying what he wants, he can do that. Now, I know the Pope's brother. He is a big MAGA person. He's got MAGA all over his house. His name is Louis. He's actually a great guy. And I'm sure the Pope is a great guy. I haven't met him. But I disagree with the Pope. If the Pope would allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon, you can't do that.
There are people that are saying that the Pope is not.
Anthony Mershak from MTV.
No, not really.
Anthony Mershak from MTV Lebanon.
What?
Anthony Mershak from MTV Lebanon. I would like to ask you regarding congratulations for the 10th war.
Yeah, it's very exciting. With Lebanon, it's very exciting. I think we're going to have a deal. We're going to have a meeting, first time in 44 years. And Lebanon will be meeting with Israel, and they're probably going to do it at the White House.
When do you think, President, when do you think they will?
Over the next week or two.
Or the next week, and do you think this agreement can reach?
I do. I think
without
they're gonna,
Hezbollah
I
agreeing
think
to
we
the
will have an
agreement?
agreement between Lebanon, and they're going to take care of Hezbollah. But they're going to be working on Hezbollah right now. But we'll have an agreement between Israel, very importantly, and Lebanon.
Will you support our Lebanese army as well? In
I would.
order to
I would.
Hezbollah?
Yeah.
Iran's going to execute. Has Hezbollah agreed to this ceasefire? I mean, how do you even?
They're all agreeing. It's a very nice little package for about a week, and we're not going to have lots of bombs dropping, and we're going to see if we can make peace between Lebanon and Israel.
And this comes from the Pope, though, President, because there was a group of bishops that did put out a statement saying the Pope isn't merely exercising his opinion, he's preaching the gospel. I mean, what do you say to people that do this?
Well, I want him to preach the gospel. I'm all about the gospel, but I also know that you cannot let a certain country, which is a very mean-spirited country, have a nuclear weapon. If they did, they would use it, and I think they'd use it quickly, and they would kill many millions of people. So, you know, the Pope could disagree with me on that, but certainly we're allowed to have that. I'm all about the gospel. I'm about it as much as anybody can be, but I can't allow, as President of the United States of America, I can't allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon. And here's the story. They won't have. They've already agreed not to have. That's good news, and I think the Pope will be very happy.
The Federal Reserve should wait and see about this Iran war before lowering interest rates. Do you agree with that?
No, I don't agree. I think we should have lower interest rates.
Iran's going to execute 4 more protesters, reportedly, including the first woman protester. What do you tell Iran?
Well, tell that to the Pope. What did you say? Tell that to the Pope.
You want to patch things up with the
That Iran is going to...
Lebanese people love you
Is that?
so.
Did you just hear that? Iran is going to execute 4 people, including a woman?
Trump, the Lebanese love you so much. Will you visit Lebanon?
You extend the ceasefire. What makes you extend that?
I don't know if we're going to have to, but if we need to, I would do that.
Wait, that's important. Sorry.
What are you telling the airlines and the oil companies about the way you're going to open up the trade?
So if you look at the oil and if you look at the price we're paying, it's about half what people thought it would be if you did what I had to do. We had to take this journey to the Middle East in order to get rid of a nuclear weapon. There would have been, if we didn't hit them with the B-2 bombers, or if I didn't kill the Barack Hussein-Obama deal, the nuclear deal, which was a disaster, we would have had nuclear weapons exploding in the Middle East and beyond. I believe I've been able to stop that. I think we have a very successful negotiation going on right now, and I think it'll be, if it happens, it'll be announced fairly soon, and that'll give us free oil, free Hormuz Strait, everything will be nice, and I think your oil price will go down to lower than what it was before, and I think a lot of good things will happen.
Just for clarity, you're willing to extend the ceasefire through?
Well, we'll see. I don't know that we'll have to. Ideally, we'll, but if I needed to, I would.
The Lebanese people love you so much. What do you say? The Lebanese people love you so much. What's your message for them? And you will visit Lebanon after this deal?
I will do that. At the right time, I would certainly go there.
You think this war in Ukraine, you know, Putin doesn't want to stop it apparently. He keeps bombing Ukraine. Do you think this war has the potential to go on for years more?
Well, it should have never started. If I were president, the war in Ukraine never would have started with Russia. But it's going on. Hopefully it'll get over soon.
The First Lady came out last week and said she had no link to Jeffrey Epstein.
Who did?
The First Lady, Melania.
She had none.
Why did she come out and say that last week?
Because the fake news was saying she did, and she had none, and I think that's been proven. It bothered her that the fake news was being fake news. That's all. She just wanted to clarify.
Who's taking care of Hezbollah? Do you think that they are destroying the deal that you are
we're going to see how it all works out. But they'll be working and coordinating. If you know Lebanon, right? So they'll be working with Hezbollah.
If they fire Jay Powell,
interested in acquiring Iranian oil?
What?
Are you still interested in acquiring Iranian oil after?
Well, we'll see. I mean, we have a very good relationship with Iran right now, as hard as it is to believe. And I think it's a combination of about 4 weeks of bombing and a very powerful blockade. The blockade is maybe more powerful than the bombing, if you want to know the truth.
Are you going to make the Arab countries pay a portion of all of the costs?
I think they'll make that. I think they're going to make that contribution. I think the Arab countries, because we've done a lot, I think they'd make a contribution toward the cost. Not been involved.
Iranian assets without any condition if you make a deal?
We're going to see what happens, but I think we're very close to making a deal with Iran. You'll be the first to know, but I think we have a chance. And if that happens, oil goes way down, prices go way down, inflation goes way down, and you're going to have, much more importantly than even that, you won't have nuclear holocaust.
Okay, President Trump there taking questions as he prepares to take off. You see the Washington Monument back there. You see you can see the top of the helicopter in the background. It's kind of constantly jumping around shots now as the cameramen try to reposition themselves as he moves down the line of reporters. This is President Trump departing for what we have described here as JBA. So answering questions about the war in Iran there primarily. What we're going to do is we're going to take a brief break here. When we get back, some major flooding over the night on Wednesday in the Midwest. We have a live press conference regarding that. So a brief commercial break. When we get back, a check-in on major flooding, stranding drivers and submerging vehicles in major intersections in Milwaukee. Coming up next. Okay, back here on Live Impact News, we continue to go through some of the other major headlines of the day after spending almost the entire first hour of our show covering former Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax shooting and killing himself and then shooting and killing his wife, Cerina Fairfax, around midnight last night. The bulk of our coverage in the first hour was in regards to that story. We will return to that story with updates and more details, but for now, we want to continue to report on some other happenings here around the country. That includes in Milwaukee, where roads and highways were submerged in water, vehicles submerged under that water at major intersections, and drivers stranded as there was major severe flooding over the course of the night on Wednesday. Let's take a listen as officials in Milwaukee try to work through this situation.
The past several days, Milwaukee area has experienced extreme weather conditions, including tornado watches, warnings, severe thunderstorms, and flash floods. For the Department of Public Works, this event began Monday night with heavy winds that brought down numerous trees across the city. Our forestry department received over 145 emergency calls following Monday night's wind. Over the following 2 days, crews continued to receive additional calls, bringing the total over 200 reported of downed trees, branches. Crews remain active on the tree cleanup to this date, especially as the ground is saturated today. We are still concerned with trees overtopping. This weekend, we are going to see winds getting close to 20 miles an hour, but there's something that's positive here is we are in spring season where the leaf canopy is not fully out. If that was the case and this was middle of summer, we would have had probably 10 times as many trees down today. Additional to high winds, we experience significant flash flooding. Flash flood occurs when rainfall exceeds the capacity of the ground and sewer systems that can absorb it. While clearing storm drains, it is always helpful to improve water flow. We cannot prevent flash flooding. The intensity of rain that had come down yesterday is something any sewer system cannot withstand. I want to make that very clear. The amount of rain that came down was only a couple of inches, but how fast it comes down in a short period of time overwhelmed our system. Our crews were proactive on Tuesday, clearing drains, knowing that the flooding issues in areas that we've had before. So people have always asked me the question, do we proactively try to address stormwater? Yes. And so we know lowland areas across the city that see significant flooding. We clear those drains. I mean, there's some folks out there that believe that we don't, but it is true. Some areas received nearly 7 inches of rain across the city over the past few days. And it's not just the total amount of rainfall that creates the problems, it's how quickly the rain falls itself. Our sewer system is in good condition, but as I said before, no system is designed to handle that amount of volume in such a short time. The groundwater was saturated from Tuesday, and the rivers and streams were hitting capacity yesterday. So our storm sewer system basically outfalls into these rivers, and we have many of them in the southeast Wisconsin. If that river capacity is full, we have nowhere to go, and this is what was seen yesterday during the storms. These impacts were not preventable, but they were felt across the entire region, not just in Milwaukee. Within the city alone, we received over 1,000 service calls that were related to flooding and sewer backups. Our sewer crews have been working around the clock for the past 2 nights, supported by team members from other sections within the department. We all want to thank them for their efforts over the past couple of days and what will continue over the next few days. We're also grateful for our police and fire departments for their swift actions in helping to keep our residents safe. I also want to remind the public to look out for our crews when they're doing work within the public right of way. We had a lot of instances yesterday where we were trying to clean out catch bases, and we had cars driving down excessively, splashing into us, just not getting out of the way. It created dangerous situations for us. So I just want to say, if you do see a DPW worker out there, please give them room. All they're trying to do is do their public service and help you. We also know that flooding can leave behind debris and other materials, and our street sweepers are prepared and working with our sewer crews to clean that up. A lot of the stuff you'll see on Pleasant or in Water Street right now will be addressed in the next couple of days. Garbage and recycling collection continues to be normal, but Monday marks the first day of our Project Clean and Green, a citywide program designed to foster neighborhood pride and support coordinated cleanup efforts across the city. Our sanitation crews will focus on different zones each week, providing expanded garbage collection and services above our regular service. And this week, this is a good opportunity for residents to dispose of any flood-damaged items, and residents can look on our city website at milwaukee.gov/clean and green. Finally, I want to remind the public that it is never safe to drive through standing water anywhere in streets. We had towed numerous vehicles that decided to drive through standing water. If it's 2 inches or it's 2 feet, it is dangerous to go through it and you will be stranded. and I want to thank the fire department and police department for identifying these. But if you become trapped in a vehicle, please call 911 so we can get our fire and police staff to help out, and along with our tow trucks to clear the roadways away. Residents can report flooded streets by calling 414-286-CITY, if there are still some today, and visiting milwaukee.gov/click-for-action, or using our Milwaukee mobile app on our website. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Now I'm going to ask Commissioner Jezamel Arroyo Vega from the Department of Neighborhood Services to take the mic. Following Commissioner Arroyo Vega will be Assistant Chief Skylar Baylott from the Milwaukee Fire Department, then followed by Kevin Schaefer, who's the Executive Director of the Milwaukee Metropolitan Sewerage District. So in that order.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Buenas tardes. Although the storms of this week might not be at the same level that we're experiencing in August, any time that we experience large rainfalls, certain areas of the city are more prone to basement flooding. And with the potential for more storms coming this Friday night, I want to share some of the best practice of what you can do in case of a substantial flooding in your basement on the property that you reside. First, please call 286-2489 or 286-CITY, or use our city website Click for Action, or download and use the Milwaukee mobile app to report issues. Our unified call center professionals would now know which department to relay these calls. We request that you also call 211 in addition to contacting the city to report any flooding concerns to the property you reside. If you're a renter, you should first contact your property manager. If there's no response, please contact DNS and we will help you. High-level waters in basements can affect mechanics and electric breakers panels. These can create dangerous situations. Do not enter a flooded basement when you have all your electrical appliances in it. You cannot enter until it's safe and those waters have subsided below the affected mechanicals and panel. Do not use electrical equipment that was submerged in the water. Next, avoid your water heater, washing machine, dryer, or any electrical appliances that are in the affected area. Let them dry in the best case. We just don't know how much damage you can have at this point. Floodwater damage can damage internal components and create serious hazards, including fire risks or contamination. Once it's safe to go walk to the basement, document the damage with photos for your insurance purposes. Then contact a licensed electrician or a plumber to inspect your breaker box and water heaters before you're attempting to restore them. Don't try it yourself. Look for a professional. Finally, look for structural damages. Signs of compromised foundations include various types of and sizes of cracks. A foundation contractor can identify and help to create a plan to repair. If you experience more catastrophic foundation issues like a wall collapse, please contact the city as soon as possible. We want to make sure that you and your family are safe. We will prioritize that call and send an inspector out to assist as soon as possible.
Okay, back in the Live Impact studio, you can get a sense of the work ahead for officials and communities in Milwaukee as they attempt to work back from some serious flooding. And they talked about how quickly that precipitation came down and what a strain that was on their drainage system. Now, we are going to go to break here. President Trump still making his way to the helicopter to leave the White House. And there he goes. He's headed off to the helicopter right now. So we'll take a brief look at that. And it looks like just as he walked off, the cameras stopped recording, which makes sense. So we are going to go to a commercial break here. When we get back, we've got more Live Impact news. Okay, we're back here on Live Impact News. We took some time to update you on a number of other stories that are developing in our area and otherwise. For now, we actually want to turn back to the story that we covered for the vast majority of our day here on Live Impact News, which is the murder-suicide with former Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax. We received breaking news this morning that Justin Fairfax had shot and killed his wife, Cerina Fairfax, and then turned the gun on himself and shot and killed himself. This happened around midnight at their Annandale home in Virginia. We've also learned that the two were in the midst of an ongoing domestic situation during a messy and difficult divorce. We also learned that their 2 teenage children were in the home at the time of the shooting, and that the 911 call to police was made by their teenage son. So that is a situation that obviously is just heartbreaking, earth-shattering devastation in more ways than one, and we are actually now going to read a statement from Governor Abigail Spanberger on this incident. Quote, "I am deeply saddened by the tragedy that occurred last night. I am praying for the Fairfax children, and I ask my fellow Virginians to hold them in their hearts and prayers. The murder of Dr. Cerina Fairfax in an apparent murder-suicide is a horrific tragedy. Dr. Fairfax was a devoted mother, beloved dentist in the Fairfax County community, and engaged supporter of her alma mater, Virginia Commonwealth University. My prayers are with the Wanzer and Fairfax families as they mourn their own loss, endeavor to make sense of tragedy, and comfort the Fairfax children. This tragedy reminds us that the domestic violence can occur in any family and in any place. Resources are available to support our neighbors experiencing domestic violence and facing mental health crises." That, again, a statement from Governor Abigail Spanberger today on the tragic murder-suicide, Justin Fairfax shooting and killing his wife Cerina and then himself. We also have a post from Rob Whitman, a representative in this area, that I will go over now as well. Quote, "I am saddened to hear about what happened at the Fairfax family home last night. My thoughts and prayers are with their children and loved ones during this difficult time." We also did receive an update from Fairfax County Police in a press conference that we have already played on this program, that the children are with loved ones, grandparents are involved, as well as professionals to help them during this time, and that they have been interacting with those people who are surrounding them right now. We also have sound that has just come our way from a Mark Warner media availability today. This is Virginia Senator Mark Warner. We heard his immediate reaction this morning. Now we get an opportunity to hear his reaction after maybe some more time to have this news process and soak in. While we prepare that video, I will briefly go over who Justin Fairfax is when it comes to Virginia politics and public life. Fairfax was seen as something of a rising star in the Democratic Party here in Virginia, and with serious potential to become a nationally prominent politician. He's been described as being a very politically skilled, a very skilled politician, and he was elected lieutenant governor in 2018. He served as lieutenant governor under Virginia Governor Ralph Northam from 2018 to 2022. Now, in 2019, 2 women came forward with allegations of sexual assault against Justin Fairfax. Now, Fairfax denied those accusations at the time, calling them false, and he has, as described to us by Janet Roach, who has covered Virginia politics here for us at 13 News Now, he went to great lengths to attempt to clear his name from these accusations, including that denial, suing CBS, calling for investigations by law enforcement, and other things. But after those accusations, he still ran for governor in 2022. He did not earn the Democratic nomination for governor. He then moved from public political life back to practicing law, originally an attorney with degrees from Duke University and Columbia Law. Justin Fairfax, at one point in time, again, seen as a rising star in the Democratic Party, and waking up to news today of his death via murder-suicide, and also shooting his wife, Cerina Fairfax, shooting and killing his wife. So it has been a a difficult day here in the Commonwealth. And as you heard from Abigail Spanberger in her statement, thoughts with the children, with the Fairfax children, thoughts with the Fairfax family, and she mentioned prayers for the Wanzer and Fairfax families as they mourn their loss. Now we can hear from Senator Mark Warner. This is a Virginia press availability where he usually gives an opening statement of sorts and then reporters are able to ask questions. This has just come across our desk. We do not know to what degree or when he addresses the situation with Justin Fairfax, but we're going to take a listen, anticipating that it is likely. Let's listen to Senator Warner.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another update from Wild Times here in D.C. Let me start with on a tragic note that I'm sure you've all heard about in terms of the death of Justin Fairfax and his wife. I obviously want to hear what happened from the investigation, but I know they were teenage children. I can't believe that this tragedy. You know, I worked closely with Justin for a number of years, and it's a huge loss. And again, my sympathies go out to both his and his wife's family, and we'll all be interested in seeing what the investigation leads to. But it clearly is a horrible, horrible tragedy. On the circumstances of Iran, we're now on day 48 of this war of choice. Unfortunately, we have seen, folks, I don't know if you're talking in the background. I hope that's not getting picked up. I can hear it in here. But on the war in Iran, we're on day 48 of Donald Trump's war of choice. I make this comment every time, but it's bearing repeating. There was no imminent threat, so Donald Trump chose to take our country to war. Nothing that has happened since the war started is unexpected. The intelligence was clear that the Iranians would close the Strait of Hormuz, they'd bomb our Gulf allies. The idea that the president somehow was not briefed on that or surprised either shows incompetence of some of his senior intelligence leaders or the fact that he just didn't tell the truth or doesn't read at all. But the four goals that he laid out, we're not close on any of them. Regime change, actually the current regime is more radical than the previous. Getting rid of the enriched uranium would require minimum of 10,000 troops on the ground surrounding the facility as a perimeter and then sending special operators in to get the enriched uranium. At any point, the Iranians could shoot missiles into their own facility, which would be a disaster for our troops. We have taken out some of their ballistic missiles, but they still obviously have additional capacity since we saw the shoot down of a couple of our planes. And they still have literally thousands of drones left. One of the things that's so disappointing to me is the Ukrainians, who have mastered how to shoot down Iranian drones because of their own conflict against Russia, since Iran is supplying Russia with drones. President Zelensky offered that technology to America, and we turned them down. Why? And the Strait of Hormuz, it is closed. It will, I believe, stay closed for the foreseeable future. And you know, to kind of add insult to injury, you know, you've got this administration taking sanctions off of Russian oil that's allowed put $10 billion minimum into Vladimir Putin's pocket, which will go into his war machine. And even in a more crazy way, they took sanctions off the Iranian oil that was at sea. So the Iranian regime, based just upon what they were able to sell that oil at market price rather than at the sanction price, that's $14 billion we've given to the Iranians to buy more war materials to attack our troops. I mean, that's beyond crazy. And the economic cost, we are just at the front end of these costs. $4 gas is not going to go away even if the president declares victory tomorrow. The amount of increased cost of shipping through trucks because they use diesel, diesel's gotten as high as $7 a gallon in some parts of our country. Aluminum costs have gone up. Fertilizer costs are going up. And because this crisis is so much worse in Asia, because they get almost all their oil from the Strait of Hormuz, you're seeing Asian nations shut down their economy one day a week. It means anything we buy is going to go up. So we saw the inflation numbers go above 3% on a 1-month basis last. I think we're going to see inflation. I'm not even going to make a prediction, but it's going to be with us literally for months to come, potentially years to come. And again, if that wasn't, enough, you've got the President of the United States, on Easter morning, using foul language, trashing Iran. You've got later that day, the President of the United States threatening to eradicate the Iranian civilization. 93 million people live in Iran. Is he going to go out and try to kill every one of them? And then, more recently, into the arena of just bizarre, the president picking a fight with the Pope. And then putting forward memes of himself appearing as Jesus. I mean, this is an insult not just to Catholics, not just to Christians. This is an insult to all people of faith. And, and we still have heard virtually nothing from my Republican friends to call out this anti-faith behavior from the President of the United States. Again, I, for one, am embarrassed by his actions. And all of this makes America less safe. When we lose our allies, when we offend the world, those allies aren't going to come to our assistance as much as they should, could, or would have if we'd been able to do this in a smart fashion. I got so caught up on Iran, let me make sure I also hit the last couple of points. Another issue that next week we're going to see a hearing for the president's nominee for the chair of the Federal Reserve, Kevin Warsh. I met with the gentleman. I'll look forward to his presentation. But boy, he's going to have a hard time convincing me, and I think convincing a lot of my colleagues, that he's going to truly be independent. The value of the Fed is its independence. In many ways, thank goodness Jay Powell has been there, because even though the president threatens him with firing all the time, you've got an independent Fed chair, which the rest of the world and other central bankers trust. And that is, I think, helped our economy, helped the markets. Mr. Warsh, who is quite smart, but the idea of what kind of promises he had to make to secure the president's nomination, getting rid of the independence of the Fed at this point would be a disaster. And let me underline that, a disaster for our economy. Finally, on a note that's both positive and also heartfelt, we're coming on the 19th anniversary of the mass killings at Virginia Tech. So Senator Kaine and I are reintroducing our legislation. We call it the Virginia Plan, because we put in place laws that have already passed in Virginia. Things like, one gun a month. Things like closing the boyfriend loophole, trying to make sure that we keep firearms safely locked in a home so they're not accessed to minors. These are sensible laws that have been passed in Virginia that I'd like to see passed at the national level. I'm not sure we'll see them pass because of the debates around Second Amendment and gun ownership, but these are the kind of common sense approaches that we've taken in Virginia that I think would make sense being taken to the federal level. So with that, why don't I go ahead and turn it over to Catherine for your questions.
Our first question is...
Okay, welcome back here in the Live Impact News studio. We were kind of going over our itinerary there as the opening statement portion of that press conference ended. We are going to cut it there. We heard words from Senator Warner about Justin Fairfax and the tragic situation that occurred overnight right off the top there in that video. And he talked about how long he worked with Justin Fairfax, and just every statement we read, every statement we hear, every update we get, just there's not much to say. It is a tragic situation, and keeping the kids of the Fairfax family and their loved ones in your thoughts and your prayers is all that we can do right now as we continue to bring new information to you whenever we get it. But that Senator Mark Warner touching on another number of other topics as well. Now, we're going to take a brief commercial break here. When we get back, the Artemis II astronauts have just popped up for a press conference. Remember, they splashed down last week, a press conference recapping things happening live right now. We'll go out to that as soon as we return from break. Well, welcome back to Live Impact News, where we are going to get right out to the Artemis II astronauts press conference in Houston, Texas. Let's take a listen to what 4 people who went further into space than any human ever has before have to say about it.
Next week, but haven't had a chance to really unpack it all yet.
All right, we'll take one more here in the room and then head over to our phone bridge.
Yeah, maybe not as deep, but connected. Keith Garvin with KPRC2 here in Houston. Thank you so much for taking us on your journey, and so glad that you're home. You know, with the technology that we have today and what we can do with videos and pictures and social media, it can still be very hard for one to convey exactly what they're seeing to everyone else. What is the most remarkable, or one of the most remarkable experiences that you all had that just couldn't be fully properly conveyed through pictures and video? And that's for any of you.
I can start. I was going to answer Kristen's question a little bit too, and I think these tie together. I've been trying to find words for it, and I don't really have it yet, but we just saw so many amazing things. And people ask what's the most amazing one, and it's, you can't pick one. There's just so many amazing experiences we had. But overall, where I keep coming back to is what kept grabbing my attention when the lighting was right and we were looking out the window is that I kept seeing this like depth to, I guess, the galaxy, for what we were visually observing out there, this depth to the galaxy that I just had never experienced before. And it's not that I could tell which stars were really closer and further, because it has to do with how bright they are, but because of how bright they are and their differences, they look like you can tell where they are in 3D. That was mind-blowing for me. And then you see the same thing with the moon and the Earth. You're viewing them from this new perspective, but this perspective with like three-dimensional depth. And I mean, I've heard Christina talk about this a lot. We're all kind of struck by these things that make us feel small. And that the sense I had was this sense of fragility and feeling small, infinitesimally small. But yet, this very powerful feeling as a human being, like as a group. And that is what, to me, is what I would try to share. I saw it in all these sites over and over again. I kept seeing that same thing and that same feeling. Small and powerless, but yet powerful together.
Beautiful.
Okay, we'll head over to our phone bridge. Our next question is from Nell Greenfield with NPR.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Tell me about your sleep. Have you been having any dreams of the moon? And if so, what have the dreams been like?
I can take this one. I've got a couple things I can say on that. One, been sleeping great since we got back. We are tired, so I think our bodies were ready to accept any time zone of sleep that we offered it. And what I've noticed, which is completely different from my first flight, and surprisingly so, since my first flight was so long, is every time I've been waking up, or in the first few days, I thought I was floating.
100%.
I truly thought I was floating, and I had to convince myself I wasn't. And even after 328 days in space on my previous mission, I never did the thing where you think something will float in front of you. I've done that on this return for some reason. I put a shirt in the air and it went. It actually surprised me. And so that's been the real thing, which I've welcomed, because space sleep is the best sleep ever. It's so peaceful, it's so comfortable. And to have a little bit of that after our mission was over so quickly has been really special.
Our next question.
I'll just tell a little funny thing, because I think you'll get a kick out of it. I sleep a lot better now because I don't have Reed underneath me kicking me.
Oh, come on!
Oh, we should talk about our first night of sleep on the ship, where we were about 8 feet apart in the beds in the med bay, and it felt way too far. That was not okay.
I heard Christina say, hey, can we open up these curtains and pull all the beds together? Because you guys are way too far away.
Way too far away.
Okay, our next question is from Lauren Grush with Bloomberg.
Hi, so good to talk to all of you, and congratulations on a successful mission. Obviously, from our perspective, it's a relatively smooth flight, but there were various moments where sensor readings would indicate an issue. There's also an issue with extra leaking from the valves on the helium pressure system that was brought up a few times. I'm wondering if there were any moments throughout the mission where you felt concerned from a safety standpoint, or did you feel like it was fairly smooth from your perspective?
I might be taking one. Well, I might be a bit more dramatic than some of my crewmates, so usually they do a good job of keeping the boy with a lot of hyperbole grounded. But when you look down at your display and you see 212,000 miles and the miles are increasing, I mean, that your awareness is heightened the whole time. I feel like it was, I was looking at all four of us. I was looking at myself reflecting as well every day, and I was just looking for signs of agitation or signs of stress or signs of anxiety or tension. In fact, I think one day we were in the med kit and we found some medication for that purpose. And we were like, wow, I just can't even imagine taking that. Like we were really good. We were really, really good and really supportive of each other. But you always know in the back of your head that something could go wrong. And I think that just builds a little bit of anxiety. And you're right, we did have, we had some pressure leaking through our PCA assembly, which I'm sure we'll talk more about in post-flight. We had some vent line issues on the toilet that were a little bit problematic for us on the primary vent line. And then we had a few cautions and warnings that came up from time to time. And those they always get your attention. We had a smoke detector go off on the next to last day. I mean, you want to get somebody's attention really quick? Make the fire alarm go off in your spacecraft when you're still about 80,000 miles from home. And that starts off an automated sequence of shutting down the ventilation and the power system. And that was, it was tense. It wasn't scary, but it was tense for a few minutes until we got things reconfigured. But the thing that we drilled into our heads before we launched is no fast hands. Let's evaluate this machine. Let's see what the machine is telling us. Let's see what Houston is telling us. And then let's come to an integrated decision. But nothing had to happen quick. And this machine, I was talking to our program manager last night on the phone for just a minute, Howard Hugh, and there are always things we need to improve. Always. There are ways we need to do better living in space. There's a way this machine needs to be improved. But my own personal opinion, they could put the Artemis II Orion on the Space Launch System tomorrow and launch it, and the crew would be in great shape. So this vehicle really handled very well.
All right, next up, we are going to head over to the Canadian Space Agency for 2 questions.
Yeah, hi, Sarah Levitt from CBC News. Question for Jeremy. I wanted to ask about if you've had a chance to take out the garbage since your wife was griping about chores while you were away. But I have a more serious question. You spoke in your post-splashdown remarks about gratitude, joy, and love. And I know Reed had said that there hasn't been a lot that has sunk in yet, but I wondered if there were other emotions that have come to you since seeing Earth the way you did, since seeing the moon, being the 4 sets of eyes that have only ever seen the far side of the moon?
I think what I've reflected on, and Reed covered it in his opening remarks, is I've found it really refreshing to find out how people have followed the mission and been creative with the mission, and there's lots of funny stuff online, and that really resonates with me a lot. And it just reinforces something I already knew, but humans are just great people in general. We don't always do great things. We're not always in our integrity, but our default is to be good and to be good to one another. And what we saw once we've gotten back, the little bits, I haven't seen a lot yet, but I've seen a bit.
All right, welcome back here in the studio. Very briefly here, we have to go to one more commercial break, and then we'll be right back out to the Artemis II press conference.
About before is that it hasn't changed my world view so much as it's reinforced just the need for us to collaborate on this planet. And like Christina said in her remarks when we got back, I mean, we really are a crew, and that really resonates with us.
And you just see it. Seeing is believing.
All right, we'll take our next few questions here in the room. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is McKenna Earnhardt, and I'm with Fox 26. My question would be, Victor, when I was watching you as y'all were watching the video of y'all coming back down, and I heard you say, I felt that, or I saw you say that. What were you feeling when you come from deeper in space than we've ever been to then you can see the ocean again? What did you feel? What was your body telling you?
Thank you. Great question, and I'll keep my face quiet more next time. No, the moment, well, first of all of the things. That was a very intense 13 minutes and 36 seconds. That moment was when the drogues released, and then the pilot chutes and the mains came out. In Dragon, I've experienced a similar entry, and in Dragon, the drogue chutes don't release the same way and in the same sequencing. And so I don't remember feeling, back to free fall from having drag or G on the vehicle. I think those actually are still connected to the vehicle as the main chutes come out. On that vehicle, I remember feeling the yo-yo, though, as the parachutes were breathing. I could feel that 30, 20 feet moving up and down. But when the drogues cut away, we went back to free fall, and watching that on the video felt almost the same way it felt in the video, or in the vehicle. I would tell you, I've never been base jumping, I've never been skydiving, but if you dove off a skyscraper backwards, that's what it felt like for 5 seconds. And then the mains, the pilots and the mains came out, and it was glorious.
Okay, we'll take our next question right here. Go ahead.
Hey guys, I saw Christina posted you brought some Super Bowl confetti from the Eagles up there with you. I'm just curious if anybody else brought anything sports related or something that you absolutely had to take up with you.
Yeah. Oh, from a general sense, we all do get a very small allocation, mass allocation, and on this vehicle it's very small. So we were just trying to think of things we could take. Like I took a couple notes from friends and things that I had written down, some great quotes.
Okay, so we didn't get much time with the Artemis II astronauts, but still wonderful to hear from them. You heard in particular they've been waking up, and right when they wake up, they still feel like they're floating after all of that time in zero gravity. Now, our time here has come to an end. We want to take a brief moment before we leave to reflect on the Day of Remembrance at Virginia Tech. This is a day in which that community honors the lives of the 32 Virginia Tech Hokies who lost their lives on April 16th, 2007 during a mass shooting at the university. And today is that day of remembrance where Hokies and family of Hokies all around the Commonwealth and the country come together to remember those 32 lives that were lost. So we wanted to make sure we mention that day of remembrance before we end our stream here. So shout out to Virginia Tech University. Thoughts remain with the families of all of those who passed that day. Now that'll do it for Live Impact News. Thank everyone for joining us. We hope to see you here again tomorrow afternoon.